Tired? Nap. Irritable? Nap. Out of ideas? Nap. Maxed out? Nap. It's hard to think of one thing that isn't better after you nap. You're way more attentive, more regulated, more creative, more peaceful, happier, and just less of a pain to be around. Can't find a spot? Well, Napoleon used to nap on his bear skin in the middle of active war zones. Can't find a time? Well, Churchill found time to do so, even in the middle of the Blitz. You think it's for lazy people? Well, Edison had over 1,000 patents to his name, and yet he prioritized it. Other proponents include Aristotle, Beethoven, JFK, Einstein, J.R. Tolkien, Schwarzenegger, Josh Waitzkin, astronauts, writers, artists, the frickin' special forces, and the list keeps going on. Total losers, right? They're not just using it for rest, though. Not in the basic sense, anyways.
You know that time, like, from lunch to dinner? What if we took a nap?
These are extremely productive and creative people with extremely busy schedules that are using recovery to turbocharge their performance in creative and intellectual pursuits. Because they understand what we seemingly don't as a culture is that high performance and recovery are intertwined and interdependent. In one report, 62% of global respondents felt they didn't get enough sleep. In America, it's 1 in 3, but that's nothing compared to Japan, which takes the top spot as the most sleep-deprived nation in the world, with South Korea, Saudi Arabia, and Singapore not too far behind. This is costing us bigly. The chronically sleep-deprived underperform significantly at home and at work, and when they're not busy driving into things at work, they're busy driving into other people.
Reports of a sleeping driver.
We're less healthy, less sharp, less productive, less social, less creative, less happy, less, well, everything. In fact, poor sleep has been linked to 7 of the 15 leading causes of death in America. The price tag of our lack of sleep? $718 billion in the OECD alone, and China is at $650 billion and rising fast. We're literally losing 3 to 5% of our GDP to this. The problem is post-industrial culture, and it's deeply rooted. Yes, sleep is personal, and no, I'm not mandating a national nap time, but when the numbers show that half of society is running with a sleep deficit, maybe it's time to wake up and put all solutions on the table. And let's be real, it's not like we're recreational bad sleepers, it's that our workaholic environment, terrible modern distractions, and societal pressures that force us there. We're sleep deprived, maxed out on life's treadmill, and yet we cannot step off because in our culture, productivity and rest are opposites. But what if we discard that assumption and consider a solution that can cater to your individual needs and your societal needs simultaneously? What's better? It's free and truly democratic. It's absolutely true that we all need better sleep at night, but as anyone knows, it takes more than a Huberman episode to get that train back on track. While we work on that, we might simultaneously need imperfect solutions for an imperfect world. And to that effect, I present a 20-minute nap makes it rain with benefits. You name it, we got it. Alertness, up 54%. Productivity, up 34%. Reflexes, learning new skills, memorization, problem solving. Increased immunity, increased physical output. Coordination.
We've done some of these studies where they improve, your learning, your memory, your alertness, your concentration, especially your emotional regulation too. Sleep is critical for emotional first aid and mental health.
It also lowers stress chemicals, effectively lowering blood pressure by a staggering 5 to 7 mm, effectively lowering heart attack risk by 30%.
There is a magic to the nap, but to me, the nap, 1 or 2 a day, can almost, irrespective of how much sleep I get the night before, have a fundamental change in my mood and my performance.
For the better?
For the better.
Yeah, likewise.
Nappies and nappies, Ferda.
The other significant benefit is that it keeps you from becoming smooth-brained by slowing down brain aging by as much as 6.5 years in regular nappers, and it does this by increasing brain volume. If I were to replicate these benefits using pharmaceuticals and other interventions, it would cost me a few $100s worth of this crap. And I would have to deal with all these lovely side effects. But this is severely underselling napping. a very specific technique, promises even more far-out results, distinctly different from just regular sleep. By trying to nap for 15 or 20 minutes while holding an object like a set of keys, you ensure that just as you're about to doze off into deep sleep, the object drops and wakes you up. Right there, as you wake up just before deep sleep, you're effectively teleported into a mystical twilight zone between wakefulness and sleep called hypnagogia. Charles Dickens was particularly insightful about this twilight zone. He states that in this half-awake state, you dream more in 5 minutes than you would in 5 nights of sleep. You're left in awe of how powerful your mind is, unbounded by time, space, and earthly restrictions. Dali called it the ideal cocktail for creativity. Einstein used it to break physics, while Nikola Tesla used it to discover whole new worlds within our world. And Edison reportedly used the same technique to build his massive library of patents.
His waking brain could not do it. His sleeping brain solved the problem. But Einstein, by the way, this is great. Einstein was suggested to be a short sleeper, and we don't know if that's true, but even if he was a habitual napper during the day, and he used sleep ruthlessly as a tool for creativity.
Creativity isn't just for the arts. It's got seismic, world-changing potential in all fields because it often connects the dots that previously weren't. This is the true superpower.
It's the principles by which the things got made.
And it's not all woo-woo. One study showed that people who hit this sweet spot solved complex math problems at an 83% success rate versus only 30% for those who didn't quite get into that N1 hypnagogic state. The most alarming part is that they all had a 16% success rate pre-nap. So what's the catch? Well, you need to stay in that magical twilight hypnagogic state. Drift into the deeper N2 sleep phase and you lose the magic, essentially returning you to a pre-nap baseline. Which is why a lot of these smart cats hold something in their hands that makes a noise just as they're about to go into deep sleep, effectively making sure that they wake up in this beautiful, blissful post-nap state. It's genius, really. In this twilight zone, your mind serves up a feast of weird and wonderful things. Visions, sound, smell, and bodily sensations. Like dreams, these aren't just random. Your subconscious is speaking in symbols, so pay attention real good. Auguste Kekulé did pay attention in a similar hypnagogic state, where a symbol of a snake eating its own tail appeared. Once conscious, he realized it was the final piece of the puzzle needed for the structure of the benzene molecule, a problem he'd been tirelessly working on. The list of hypnagogic breakthroughs reads like the greatest hits of human creativity. Dickens dreamed up characters there, Mary Shelley birthed Frankenstein, Mendeleev dreamt up the periodic table, and McCartney, well, he immediately went to work on a tune that came to him moments before waking up one day. The song, Yesterday. The only real catch is the learning curve. It's a bit more complicated than just trying to nap, so it takes some practice to get there reliably. There are many different techniques to get into hypnagogia, but that's another video in itself. Finding that state between wakefulness and sleep can be difficult. Too awake and you'll miss it, too deep and you'll lose it. What's happening inside the brain is absolutely fascinating. As you relax, the brainwaves change from alert beta to a melody of meditative alpha and slower theta waves. This is a sign that the brain has now turned into a driving school vehicle of sorts with two sets of controls. The subconscious and the conscious are now forced to work together or they crash. This alpha-theta interplay creates a neural sandbox of sorts which allows for free and novel associations of loosely connected ideas without the censorship of the prefrontal cortex. These ideas are slowly permeating back into our culture and societal change is coming, albeit slowly. It took NASA's 95 study to finally tell us what we intuitively already knew. More recent adopters are universities, healthcare, tech, armed forces, emergency services, and airlines.
So think about 20 years ago, you would never imagine a company paying you to sleep on the job.
If you were caught sleeping on the job, you'd probably be fired. Now companies are incentivizing it, not because they are thinking compassionately or empathetically about the health or the wellness of their individuals. It is because they understand that it transacts marked productivity. When you undersleep employees, they will choose less challenging problems. They will produce fewer creative solutions. Underslept employees start working in teams. They will slack off. They won't do their work. They will let other people do their work. And after all, creativity and ingenuity are supposed to be the two engines that drive businesses forward.
Just for a moment, think of the incredible transformative potential of 1,000 people experiencing the physical, mental, and metaphysical benefits. Then maybe imagine 1 million or even 1 billion. We should follow the science after all, not ignore it when inconvenient. If we function better, are happier, we all win with less stress, more productivity, and more breakthroughs. Surely it's a win-win that our oh-so-generous overlords can appreciate. So if you feel like your batteries are getting low, take a short nap. 15 to 20 minutes is the sweet spot. Anything less isn't as beneficial, and a lot more has negative effects. Use the keys method or a timer, and don't get so comfy that you'll go into deep sleep. After all, who knows what world-changing ideas are waiting to be connected in that wild and wonderful hypnagogic state.